Hey guys, today I'm still wearing my glasses because I just got out of watching Dune Part 2. I watched it on Sunday, the weekend of release, because I really wanted to watch this movie, although I actually didn't know if I was going to be able to watch it, but I was, so that was great. First of all, I think the movie theater was half full. I mean, my showing, which was the latest one, and I think that's surprising, to be honest, because even superhero movies, although superhero movies are like flopping around right now, but some superhero movies I remember, like Captain Marvel, I mean, it wasn't like, I think we were like five people on that showing. It was really sad. So I'm glad that this movie at least brought some more people to the cinema, basically. The sad part, I think, and that's because I just heard people talking when the movie finished, and while the movie was playing, to be honest, is that I think many people either or both actually didn't watch the movie. I mean, some people were like, "What the fuck did we just watch?" And I think they didn't know anything about the first movie. And then there were others that really didn't understand or really didn't know what the movie was about. So it's complicated because I mean, supposedly any movie should be able to be watched without homework, let's say, without any need of watching something previously. But of course, this is the second part of a movie. I mean, it's basically as if they had done a full one and then just cut it in half. But it's difficult to sell those kinds of movies, I think. So I think that maybe worldwide, I don't know in the US, although maybe in the US too, but in all over the world, I think most people haven't seen the first one or haven't seen it recently, and that's a bit of a problem, I think. And it's kind of funny because, as you remember, the first movie was released, I think, in 2021. And the problem back then was the fact that many people, were still in quarantine in many places, and masks were mandatory and all of that. So people weren't really going to the movies. So the first part didn't do that well. It did really well in HBO Max, actually, just after it was released, and I think it's still one of the biggest movies on that service, on Max. So you have that behind the movie. So talking about Dune Part 2, I think it's interesting to see how the whole Dune novel was interpreted by Denis Villeneuve, which of course also directs the second part. I have to say that I really appreciate, let's say, the directing skills of Denis Villeneuve. I think he's very intuitive, and I think he's very modern, futuristic even, and he really knows how to do proper drama and proper science fiction, to be honest. So I was really happy that he did this to start with, because the movie, no, I mean, the novel is massive. It's huge. It has so many things, and that you even have to read many times in order to understand. Because if you read the novel once, you really have to go back and forth in order to get everything that the novel is saying. And I think they really did a good job integrating all of that. I mean, of course, there are details and things like that that weren't incorporated into the movie, but that's fine. I mean, you don't have to tell everything. But there are other parts that I don't know if I would have used, that he did use, and I think it's very interesting. Again, this movie is very slow. This movie is very calm most of the time. Even when there's a huge battle, huge fights and all of that, even then the movie doesn't feel like an action movie. The movie feels like a political thriller, maybe, like a mystery movie. like science fiction, of course, but never as an action movie, which I think it's good for Dune, because it's not exactly that, because the message behind the novel is very different. The message behind the novel is about, pieces on a chessboard, and how, politics and all of that big movements in the world can have influence on the little people. And of course, religion and all of that is very important. I mean, you see it in this movie. Religion is a huge, huge deal. Even one character says so. So I think the movie was really well executed from that point of view. The screenplay and the directing, of course, is really, really good. So to be honest, I really expect both to be nominated again in the next Academy Awards, to be held in 2025, of course. As for the performances, again, Timothée Chalamet is perfectly well cast as the main character, as Paul, and I think that's great. I don't know if he's awesome in the role, I don't know if he's that good, but he's good and he's fine, and he really fits well with the rest of the people, I would say. Then you have people like Florence Pugh, for example, who plays a Princess Irulan, which is funny because they never say her name, and she's like very important in the book, so it's kind of funny, and in the subsequent books, of course. But she's fine too. She only has a few scenes, but Florence Pugh is really acting with her face all the time, so she's really good at that. I think that the best looking and the best one in the movie might be, performance-wise, of course, Stellan Skarsgård, of course, is amazing, although he has much less to do in this movie. But I think Zendaya, I don't know how you say her name, is actually very, very well cast, and she really knows how her character is and evolves and feels in the whole movie as Chani. And I think and it's very beautiful, because her story, at least in this part, at least into what they tell in the movie, it's very tragic in a sense, because she's the love interest of a person that cannot really love freely in a way. So that's kind of interesting. Of course, we have Austin Butler, who played Elvis and was nominated for an Academy Award for that. And he's good. He does this thing with his voice, which apparently is his thing, because he did a voice in Elvis too. In this movie, he does a voice, and he's kind of funny. It's kind of weird, because it's like a growl, but like a speaking growl. So I think it works for the Harkonnen, but I don't know if it works for him. I think many other young gentlemen could have played that character, to be honest, and maybe even more, more interestingly in a way, I guess. Aside from that, I think Rebecca Ferguson is fantastic always, because of her facial expression, so that always helps. And many other supporting characters are really good. The casting for this movie is fantastic, to be honest. So it's a shame that the Academy Award for Best Casting is not going to be awarded next year, but the year following, because I think this would be a contender for sure. As for other parts of the movie, I think that the sound design is really beautiful, especially because they really make use of silences, which is unique, I think, in movies these days, because they really like to pile everything on nowadays, and this movie doesn't really do that at all, so I really appreciate that. Actually, the score is really subtle this time around. I feel that in part one, the score was like a main character, and in this one is very much subdued. It's very much like engulfed by the desert, which is kind of an interesting metaphor, I would say. The art direction, of course, the costume design in this movie, especially in the Harkonnen planet, Gidi Prime, I think it is. fucking perfection. I mean, I thought it was just fantastic. I think this movie should win the Academy Award for Best Costume Design. It was that good. And the production design, of course, beautiful with the starships and all the places where the Fremen live and, you know, the palaces and all of that. It's really beautiful. It's really well done. It's really well created, as well as the, of course, the cinematography. If I'm not mistaken, maybe I am mistaken, but I think this movie was at least nominated for the Academy Award. I mean, the first one for Academy Award for Best Cinematography, which it should have. I don't know. I'm not sure if it won, actually. It should have won if it didn't. But this movie should win too, or at least be nominated, because every frame is just powerful. And it's the best use of wide shots ever. I mean, I think it's really gorgeous because of that. So besides all of that, of course, the visual effects are very good, although the visual effects are really minimal. And there are some shots, I think, that you see in the trailers that weren't in the movie, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. That happens a lot too these days. So yeah, I mean, all those aspects of the movie were great. And, you know, so many people are saying that this is, again, better than the first one. And even though I did think that everything was really cohesive in the movie, I don't know if it's actually that. Because I think that people are saying that because not many people watched the first one. But the first one was really damn good. And it really depicted well how a family just falls from grace and crushes and it's divided. And it's just, you know, destroyed from the inside out. And I think that's very well done. And this movie is also very well done. I don't know if I love it more than the first one. I mean, for this time, I mean, just minutes after watching it, I still love the first one more. But that doesn't mean this one is not another masterpiece by Denis Villeneuve, who apparently has nothing but masterpieces in his resume because he's a really fantastic director. And they say he might do another Dune, and the end of the movie actually kind of indicates that. So I have to read more Dune novels, I guess. And actually they are doing a Dune series with the Bene Gesserit for HBO Max, for Max. So that's really exciting. I think that's going to be released this year. And it has, I think it's Emily Watson and another actress whose name I forget right now. But I mean, the actresses that are there are really great. So that's going to be very interesting because it takes place long before what the movies show. So I think it's going to be actually pretty cool. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Dune Part 2. Please comment down below whatever you think about the movie. And I'm almost home. It's really cold right now because I think it rained the whole time I was in the cinema. So it's kind of cold right now. But yeah, please like this video, comment down below, and like all my videos, and watch the other videos about the other movies. Thank you so much. Goodbye.